Welcome back. It's still Bloggers Forum here on Ghana Web TV. My name is Abrantepa. I'm doing this with Nenebi. He's a columnist. Another Samabedu writes for entertainmentgh.com. We move on to discuss KSM's assertion that the Ghanaians have become, we've become very political, and so for that reason, our sense of humor has been lost to politics, because at first comedians could just crack jokes about political leaders, but now you are unable to do that. So here is a quote from his interview he had on YFM. He says, "We are so partisan and polarized that if you're a comedian and you want to do something amazing or funny joke on Akufo-Addo, they will brand you as an NDC sympathizer. Look at what happened to Obi, what Obi went through because he cracked a joke about Mahama." Now he moves on to talk about his politically incorrect comedy show that he staged, and he says, "JJ was in the house and I gave it to JJ and they were all cheering, including himself. We have become too partisan. We have lost our sense of humor. I can't crack a joke about the president." I start with Arnold.
I totally agree with KSM. Totally agree with him. You see, coming from him, KSM became famous for his ability to actually touch on political jokes. His ability to actually pick on these politicians. It's just not politicians. He was actually picking on presidents, sitting presidents. So he got his infamy from this kind of stuff. And so coming from him, I'm not surprised. And that's why I'm agreeing with the commentary that he passed. You see, over the period, I've always had a stance. Sometimes this particular stance do not get me a lot of cheers. But I believe when we say comedy, we are supposed to decipher that wording and what it means. So for example, if I enter into an event and I know that this is a comedy event, there will be stand-up comedians, there will be comedy theater, whatever it is. I should go in with the inclination that whatever would be produced or will transpire on that stage is comedy. You understand? And so if a stand-up comedian comes up and shares a material that's about a politician, about a church, about a personality, in my mind, before I purchase the ticket and walked into the auditorium, I'm supposed to get the understanding or the comprehension that whatever would be produced on that stage is comic. It has no serious element attached to it. So most often than not, I think as audience, we miss that. And so somebody would go out there, crack a joke that is linked to gender, politics, race, and people take offense. I do not get it. You understand? It means the person the complainant probably has missed the actual meaning of what the whole show or the whole event is about. And for some reason, we seem not to get it right. When you go to America, for example, let's even stick with politics. The likes of Trevor Noah, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and all those people, Kevin Hart, they crack serious jokes on these personalities. From Obama to George W. Bush to Trump. Trump there is like a punching bag. So how come the fans of Trump are not always on the necks of these comedians?
They are always on the necks of these comedians. Always.
About Trump, I know about him.
Oh no, that's not even. That's true. They are always on the neck.
How? No, it's different from actually passing commentary and saying I do not like this joke, than saying I want to cancel this person's career because he cracked the joke on Trump. Then they be less different to us. They do not go to that extent. They do not threaten to cancel the businesses of these comedians because they cracked a joke on Trump or on Obama. They would express their displeasure. That's understandable. But when you go
even to this year, Jimmy Kimmel have been cancelled this year. That when you cancel him doesn't affect, because his audience don't care about what Trump
so
people say.
Based on what?
Based on they said his claims to be against racism, but he has his racist. himself. You know, that was something coming from Trump supporters.
Yeah.
And they had some tape that he did in the 90s to cancel him just because he's going at Trump. So when you say those have no implications, even though they go against their leaders, I'll disagree with you on that.
Okay. Yeah. They make the point in this.
Yes. I was coming to you.
So in 2009, right, I was living in Kumasi, and I had a phone. I was using, was it a Sajem? Those days, there was this phone called Sajem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was using a Sajem phone. And one time, we fetched water in the basin in front of our room, and my kid sister was holding my Sajem phone. I went out to go and do something. When I came back, I saw her jump from the basin holding my phone. Tony, my phone no.
Wahro.
My phone no. And everybody busted out laughing, but I wasn't laughing. I was angry. And to date, even to date, she's older now. She's like 12 now. I still don't let her touch my phone because I still get PTSD from when she watched my phone. You understand? I'm saying this to say that when it comes to comedy, comedy is an art form. And the thing about artists, you the artist, you have the 100% liberty to say anything you want about anybody you want to say. Like Jay-Z said, I don't never write, but if ever I write, I need the space to say whatever I like. An artist will always have the space. I've always advocated for that on this show, to say anything they want to say. Comedians are free to talk about anybody they want to talk about, in any way they want to talk about a person. But what they don't get the chance to do, or what they should not be given a chance to do, is decide how people react to their jokes. You understand? You are free to express yourself, but you can't tell me how I should react to your expression of yourself. Every art is supposed to elicit emotion. Laughter is an emotion. Anger is an emotion. So when you are lucky and people react to your work the way you intended it to be reacted to, then it means that you're able to reach the person, the people's emotion the way you intended it. But if you are not able to reach the people's emotion the way you intended it, that is not on the people, that's on you. And I think that as an artist, it is arrogance for you to think that whenever you put out any work, the people should react to it the way you want them to react to it. And even with the example KSM made with Obi, people in the audience laughed.
Yes.
In the moment. The people who were angry at him were angry later on. And I don't think there were still people defending him online. You understand?
Yes.
So obviously, there's a rule of 10 when it comes to art. I'm an artist myself. There's this rule of 10 I'm conscious of. The rule of 10 is that there are 3 people who love everything you put out. There are 3 people who hate everything you put out. And there are 3 people who won't care. And there are 4 people who won't care. You understand? So as an artist, you're supposed to find the 3 people who love whatever you say and focus on pleasing those 3 people. And hope that you can get the 4 people who are on the fence.
Okay, let Arnold come in. When he's done, I'll throw in my question.
I agree with some of the commentary that he passed, but I also disagree when he talks about the fact that the artist, in this instance, the comedian, should not dictate to or regards to how
people should react.
That's why I disagree. When the comedian goes onto the stage, his purpose is just one.
Yes.
Make you laugh.
Good.
And so the other reaction that he could get is his inability or her inability to make you laugh. Two outcomes. One, his purpose, walking into the stage, is to ensure that the audience are happy, they laugh. The other reaction that he could get is they're not laughing. And so you can walk out of the auditorium and say, this joke that he shared was not funny, or his whole set was not funny. That's it. Anything beyond that is unacceptable. Like saying, oh, he shared a joke on my favorite politician, and so ABCD. Or he shared a joke on my religion, and so ABC. You understand? So it is not appropriate for Nene to say, oh, the comedian has no right to actually question how somebody reacts. It depends on the kind of reaction.
I said the comedian will be arrogant.
Question
how the audience
and that was the question I had wanted to ask, because if KSM's example that he cited, OB, and I remember after this whole brouhaha, OB had a show. What's the title?
He
I've forgotten. Yes, political refugee.
Yes.
And he actually projected some of the comments.
Good. I like OB's reaction to that, because he was able to make acts out of the people's reaction to his earlier acts. And that is the mark of a genius as an artist.
Yes.
Good. If you're an artist, you should be able to do that. I've seen comedy shows where people will be heckling the comedian, and the comedian would turn the heckling on the heckler and make people laugh at the people heckling him. You as a comedian, you have a responsibility to make even negative reaction to your acts. That's why I say you should always focus on the 3 people who are always going to laugh with you regardless.
But
you understand?
My issue with him is the fact that, you see, when he was speaking, he talked about the fact that as an artist, and again zooming into a comedian, he or she has the right to speak his 100%.
Good. You have the right to.
No inhibition. That's
I'm saying
that's
that
the crux of the matter.
I'm not saying that as a comedian you can't question the audience. What I'm saying is that the audience also have that right to decide how they react.
But you see, I think Arnold's point is in reaction. I mean, in reacting to the joke, it shouldn't be violent.
No.
There was.
But it's because you did not put that caveat there. That is why Arnold is reacting the way he is.
I try not to. I have nothing against violence, so I try not to criticize violence. But the point is, however people react to your acts, you when it's violence, there's a what's the word? There's a way you can redress violence.
But should it get violent?
It shouldn't get violent.
Under no
But human beings react differently. You can insult somebody, will insult you and then you slap the person. In psychology, you did psychology, right?
No.
You do political science. But in psychology, reacting to an angry situation with violence is a predictable human behavior. It's not like it's not an unpredictable human behavior. Violence is a predictable human behavior where some people out of anger will react violently. But you are supposed to hope that it doesn't happen. But if it happens, it's a predictable human behavior.
Do political jokes have effect on elections?
Not at all.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Especially in our country.
It doesn't. It has no bearing whatsoever.
So how can people react the way they do?
That for me, and I don't know, because when I made that example, he said he doesn't agree. And I don't want to stretch it because.
Oh no, you can do that. You can free to say anything you want.
It's the lack of understanding of our political landscape. Again, I'll make the same example. Now, when you go outside, it is not as it is here. They do have the proper understanding and comprehension of what politics is all about. You understand? So a politician will never be cancelled because of a joke he shared. It's not done.
You say you say a politician or a comedian?
A comedian
I think he meant
will
a
not be
comedian.
cancelled because of a joke he shared over a politician.
Over a politician, okay.
A joke he shared over politics.
Knowing how our society is, how polarized we are, and we are heading into elections. Should comedians refrain from sharing political jokes?
Yes. Because you see, in as much as, I don't know about any of you, but for me, I think it's not a good practice to actually threaten a comedian for a joke that he shared. However, you should also be very mindful of the setting you are in. Because and you say you want to do it because an ideal situation. That's wrong.
Are we not limiting creativity?
See what until we move away from that myopic thinking and get a better understanding of what politics is all about. That it's supposed to be liberal. You cannot do it because 2 days ago, what did Mohammed Okum say? That if you're an entertainer, you should be wary or cautious of how you expose your political inclination or affiliation. Under normal circumstances, I would have said that's a bogus advice. The advice should be the fact that, listen, let's have a better understanding of what politics is all about. the mere fact that you belong to a political party or he belongs to a political doesn't mean I should cancel you or I should make your life difficult for you or regards to your career. That should be the sound advice you should give. However, she's being real. The reality is when you are in Ghana and you affiliate yourself to a political party, you are chastised. You understand? You are reprimanded. You are ostracized. And that's a fact. And so as a comedian, knowing very well the terrain that you are in, you stay away from such jokes.
Nene, quick one. How cautious can comedians be?
Comedians should be anyway cautious of the political terrain we are in. What I think is that, I believe that artists are prophets. And as a prophet, when you preach, people can stone you for giving the message that God gave you to give to the people.
So far, bro.
And it doesn't mean that you should not give the message just because of you are scared of being stoned. I think that we need somebody or we need people to understand that to be able to change the environment, you have to force the environment to change.
It will never work.
You never say no. When before the 2008 election, right? People were saying that before 2008 election specifically, people were saying that if you're a musician and you do a song for a political party, it will end your political career, your music career. In 2008, musicians did songs for political parties. The political party they did songs for lost the election, and almost all of them went on to have successful careers after the election. Specific example being Kobna, and even what's the name? Nadluma, after doing Nana Winner, he went and do Naneu. And that song was a big hit, even though Nana Winner was, yeah. So the thing is that until they took that step to go against what the environment was dictating to them and did what the environment told them not to do, the environment didn't react. Because I'm going to stop listening to that Lumba because he's an MPP. We are going to stop listening to Kobna. At the time, nobody was going to stop listening to them. And with comedians, I think that if you are that good a comedian, nobody will cancel you. Because we know, like, the LGBT people like to cancel people. Kevin Hart have been cancelled, and Dave Chappelle be cancelled by those. And those both have flourishing careers because you can't force people not to listen to Kevin Hart. You can't force people not to listen to Dave Chappelle because they are funny. If you are funny, you can triumph in any situation. That's what I think.
Let me tell you why it will not work. Like it's admonition the fact that if you're a comedian, go all out. Disregard all.
That's what I think artists should do.
No.
That's what I think I should do.
If we were in Jesus times era, I'm speaking the gospel, stone me like Stephen. You could not. No. In this our dispensation, it will be very difficult because that community, that artist needs a certain level of sponsorship and support. The audience is set up amount. The person who is actually investing the money for the show to come, is not with a certain government official or even the government in power. And they are telling me that I should go out there and criticize or share a joke that would really affect that sponsor. Come on. See. He is so independent. And you allow him in this space. Who is independent to actually go out and say, there are the consequences. I'm doing my own show. No.
See, if you have your numbers.
Which numbers?
See, what's the name? OB show he did after the
political refugee.
After the political refugee song.
Yeah.
It wasn't sponsored. Was it sponsored? He didn't have any sponsor for it.
He had yes, he had some sponsors.
You know why he had
a week.
Why did he have the sponsor? Because he had numbers. OB has numbers on social media, and he was able to convert those numbers to his advantage. You see, it has to do with if you're an artist, your aim shouldn't be to please people. Aim should be to get your numbers. When you get numbers, what did people say about Shatawale when he first came? But when he had numbers, no matter what your brand is, you want to be affiliated to Shatawale.
Okay, let us not conclude on that.
I say difficult.
Yeah.
You achieve a certain level of independence where you don't want to care about anybody. This is the person you are mentioning. At that point, he got to that point where he was very independent. He didn't care about anybody.
Yeah.
But he had advising the up-and-coming struggling artists
Difficulty is an excuse that history doesn't accept.
Okay, right. So let's take a break. When we return, JMJ says the female music scene is virtually dead. True or false? We are back after this.